President Bongbong Marcos has approved the extension of free rides for EDSA carousel buses until December. Students may also continue availing of free rides in MRT3, LRT2, and PNR.
Minimum fare for traditional public utility jeepneys is at 11 pesos. Minimum fare in motor jeepneys are now 13 pesos. And amid the soaring fuel prices, they found some sense of relief that the latest minimum fare hike is now effective. They said this would ensure additional income. POJ drivers are now asking the government to come up with an action plan to address soaring oil prices for the long term.
Air, land, sea travel concerns. The new Transportation Secretary has his work cut out for him. How much work can the DOTR get done over the next 6 years? The answers in this episode of The Chiefs. Welcome to The Chiefs. Ako po si Robbie Alampay. Kasama po natin online. Ami Pamintuan of the Philippine Star, Lucy Cruz Valdez of News 5. Maya-maya po sasamahan tayo ni Ed Lingao, also of One News. And diretso na tayo sa guest natin. Joining us tonight on The Chiefs, Transportation Secretary Jaime Bautista. Good evening, sir. Welcome to The Chiefs. Secretary Bautista.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Robbie. Good evening, Ami. Good evening, Lucy.
Nga po. Sir, diretso na tayo. And we'll start with your words. Sabi nyo, as Transportation Secretary, ang hamon sa inyo and your personal mission is to elevate transportation in the Philippines to world-class standards. What does that mean?
World-class standards mean that we conform to the best practices in the industry. We see to it that all the things that we do are what the developed countries are doing. That just like what we did in Philippine Airlines. We see to it that the standards of the International Air Transport Association are implemented in all our flights. And that was the reason why in 2018 we were able to get a 4-star status, and in 2019 we won the most improved airline in the world, and that is by adapting to best practices in the industry.
Oh, sige, but Secretary Bautista, of course, a lot of people were excited, of course, with your experience in the aviation industry. Pero bago tayo mag-world-class standards sa transport, ang gustong tanungin ng mga Pilipino sa inyo, alam mo ba kung anong Philippine standards ngayon? Alam niyo po ba ang dinaranas ng ating mga commuters at saka mga namamasada sa ngayon, sa oras ngayon?
Alam mo, Robbie, alam ko yung nangyayari, no? Kasi dumadaan ako dyan sa EDSA, although hindi ako sumasakay sa bus or sa train, no? MRT, no? But I can see people queuing up, no? I passed by the Magallanes flyover and the Magallanes MRT station, and nakikita ko yung pila dyan nasa baba, no? And naawa ako dun sa ating mga mananakay na naghihintay ng napakatagal para lang makasakay sa train, no? And also nakikita ko yung experience ng ating mga pasahero na nandyan sa EDSA. EDSA sumasakay ng bus, no? Ang haba ng pila, no? In fact, last Monday when I went to LTFRB to attend the turnover ceremony, no? Coming from Makati, nakita ko yung haba ng pila diyan sa Cubao, sa Kamuning, no, sa Show Boulevard, no. And sabi ko pag nakita to ng presidente, sasabihin niya na the situation is unacceptable and we have to do something about it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Secretary, you've traveled around the world, ano? Nagkasama na nga yata tayo eh. At ang nakikita natin doon sa mass transportation, di ba? Seamless di ba? Yung mga schedules ng pagdating ng mass transport, merong schedule dyan, walang intayan, kaya hindi nagkaka-traffic, and sufficient yung facilities. Offhand, sa nakikita nyo ngayon, ano yung balak niyong i-prioritize na reforms? Sa land transportation pa lang, ha? Siguro sa urban centers muna, yung mga congested. Ano sa tingin niyo ang doable na pwedeng i-implement na reforms?
Nakikita ko na mabilis na magkakaroon tayo ng mga tinatawag na low-hanging fruits sa MRT, sa LRT1 and LRT2. No? I tried to experience taking MRT3 after my meeting with the LTRFP officials, no? And nakita ko na maraming quick fix that we can do, no? Para maibisan yung paghihirap ng ating mga mananakay, no? One example, nakita ko yung ang haba ng pila because most of the passengers binibili nila yung one-way ticket, no? One trip journey ng MRT, no? And ang haba ng pila dahil gusto nilang makakuha ng one journey ticket, no? And in fact, tinatanong ko nga yung mga pasahero, bakit hindi kayo bumili ng stored card, no? Para hindi na kayo pipila, no? Marami silang mga reasons, no? Sabi nila, natatakot sila na mawala yung load, no? Natatakot sila na baka mahulog yung ticket, no? But I think it's a matter of informing the benefits of these stored tickets, no? Kasi sa other countries, Singapore for example, hindi na sila tumatanggap ng cash, no? Kailangan mo magkaroon ka ng stored ticket. You can buy it in different sources para walang pila doon sa pagbili ng ticket, no? So I think kailangan lang natin dito ay information campaign, no? Para mainganyo sila na bumili ng stored ticket, no? In fact, tinanong ko nga, pag nagbigay ba ng discount ang MRT, no? Kung may mas mura ng piso yung stored ticket, bibili ba kayo, no? Sabi nung iba, hindi po kasi natatakot po kami na baka mawala nga yung load, no? Sabi naman ng iba, kung maganda yung discount, bibili po kami, no? And I have discussed this with the management of MRT and LRT, and they are thinking of siguro adopting some fare schemes for those holding stored tickets, no?
Pero sir, ito paulit-ulit sa balita, yung laging nasisira ang mga tren. At talagang it's been the bane of the past 2-3 administrations actually, lalo na yung MRT3, no? At hanggang ngayon, talagang parang hindi siya nalutas, bagamat alam naman namin na may mga bagong-bago na mukhang napakatagal pa na panahon bago talaga makaramdam ang ordinaryong pasahero nung comfort level ba na nararanasan na sa ibang bansa. Paano po ba yan makakamit sa loob ng susunod na 6 na taon kaya? Or tayo po ba'y umaasa na naman sa wala? Parang gano'n. No? How do you assure the riding public na may mangyayaring major improvement na mararanasan nila within the next 6 years?
Kinausap ko po ang management ng LRT at saka MRT3, no? And sinabi nila na in the past, no, they have given the maintenance contract to some Filipino companies, no, na because of that hindi na-maintain ng mabuti yung operations ng MRT, no? And lately, ibinalik nila yung maintenance sa isang Japanese firm, no? Sa Sumitomo, no? And we are monitoring the performance. Mukhang nag-improve naman, no? So I think it's a matter of really getting group that are experienced and they have expertise in maintaining trains, no? So palagay po namin kailangan lang talagang magkaroon ng tamang grupo o tamang kumpanya na mag-maintain ng mga train natin, no? In fact, sa isang meeting ko dito sa Light Rail Transit, no, sinabi nila na nag-expire lang daw yung contract, no? And hindi sila masyadong masaya. So ang ginawa nila ay they hired all the people of that maintenance company, no? And since itong mga tao naman na to ay may experience maintaining the trains, no? So they continue to operate with these people, no? Pero sabi ko siguro temporary yan, no? Dapat magkaroon ng bidding, no? In fact, kino-question ko nga bakit hindi kayo nagkaroon ng bidding 6 months or 1 year before the end of the contract, no?
In-anticipate.
May sinasabi sila na hindi daw pwedeng magkaroon ng bidding kasi hindi pa tapos yung contract, no? So maraming reasons, no? But sabi ko nga ang practice natin sa private sector, pag malapit ng mag-end ang contract 6 months or 1 year before, ginagawa na natin yung negotiation for a new contract, no? So siguro sa mga darating na panahon, yan ang gagawin namin, no? See to it na bago mag-end ang contract ng isang service provider, magkakaroon na kami ng other alternative possibilities, no? Kung hindi nag-perform yung present contractor, papalitan namin sila kaagad, no? Actually, yan po ang ginagawa namin sa private sector, and I hope I can do it, no? Although alam niyo po, alam niyo po, natutunan ko dito in 1 week that I've been in the government, no? Natutunan ko na there are a lot of restrictions pagdating sa bidding, sa pagkuha ng mga suppliers, no? Because there is COA, no? There is DBM, no? In fact, on my second day, I requested DBM to give me a briefing about the budget system, no? Because it's really very different.
Okay.
No?
Mr. Bautista, Mr. Bautista, I will interrupt you muna. We want to get into this with more detail, but I'll interrupt you there para mababalikan natin. We just need to take a quick break. We will be back with Transportation Secretary Jimmy Bautista after the break. Please stay right there. Welcome back, the Chiefs. We continue our conversation with Transportation Secretary Mr. Jimmy Bautista. Mr. Bautista, welcome back. And sir, kanina, pardon the interruption, but you were starting to talk about yung mga bagay na ngayong nasa gobyerno na kayo, medyo nagugulat kayo. At ngayon nasa gobyerno kayo, kailangan nyo pag-aralan. By all means, ituloy nyo po. What are the things coming from the private sector, now going into the government sector that are on the one hand shocking, at the same time, maybe low-hanging fruits for you?
Well, alam mo, nagulat ako doon sa budget process ng gobyerno, no? hindi ka pala pwedeng magkaroon ng disbursements until it is budgeted, no? And even if it's budgeted, pag walang pera ang gobyerno, hindi mo pwedeng gawin or pwedeng magkaroon ng procurement, no? Samantalang sa private sector, no? Pag meron kang available funds, you can easily pay what is valid obligation, no? So naninibago ako actually because in-explain sa akin napakahaba ng process, no? Bago mo ma-implement ang isang bagay, no? You cannot just procure anything without going to the budget process, no? And ang aking impression is karaniwan nagkakaroon ng delay because of the budget process.
How does this affect your plans going forward now that you've discovered nga na, nako yung mga gusto ko palang gawin hindi ko magagawa within the time period that's needed to do them. I mean, how do you intend to skirt this, if at all it can be skirted?
Well, actually tinanong ko yan dun sa mga present members of the management of DOTR, no? Sabi naman nila, you can do, may mga sinasabi silang quick fix, no? There are
Shortcut,
may mga shortcut, no? So, but pag-aaralan natin lahat yan. Sabi naman nila, it's, I think sometimes for reasons beyond, knowing that there are important disbursements that need to be disbursed, no? Meron namang possibility na mabayaran tong ganyang mga expenses, no? In fact, sabi nila, pag yung mga supplier nyo naman alam na magbabayad ka, no? They are willing to wait, no? So, yan yung mga initial learnings ko dito sa gobyerno, no?
Secretary, siyempre, sakop niyo rin yung maritime transportation, ano? Linawin ko lang, sino na ba talaga yung general manager ng Philippine Ports Authority? Kasi dalawang pangalan na lumalabas ngayong araw.
Wala pa po, no? Under Memorandum Circular Number 1, no? Ang designated OIC is yung most senior or the next highest ranking official or the most senior, no? And meron na kaming na-identify na OIC for siguro a short period of time.
Si Mr. Boholano ba yun? Mr. Boholano?
Si Mr. Boholano has been designated as the officer in charge, no?
Yes.
Dahil we receive a certification from the Human Resources Department that he is the highest ranking official and the most senior, no? So yan po yung so far ang OIC, no? And hopefully sana magkaroon na ng permanent general manager ang PPA.
So ano pong status ni Mr. Pastrana?
Ay wala pa po akong balita, no? I understand that yung appointment niya ay hindi pa napipirmahan ng presidente, no?
Mr. Bautista, we've spoken quite often with mobility advocates. And ang sinasabi nila, ang problema sa transportation and mobility sa Pilipinas starts actually with the name of the Department of Transportation, because sinasabi nila, because we're calling it Department of Transportation rather than Department of Mobility, the bureaucracy keeps thinking of cars, moving vehicles, and so on, when in reality we should be looking at it in terms of moving people. Do you subscribe to that? Do you subscribe to that philosophy? And what might that mean in terms of having a better strategy for mobility for Filipinos?
You know, to me, transport is not just moving people from point A to point B or moving cargo from point A to point B. No? In fact, sinasabi ko dito sa aking mga meetings, no, dito sa mga officials ng different agencies under the Department of Transportation, no? Ang intindi ko or ang aking pag-iisip tungkol sa transportation is it should be a service, no? Hindi lang dahil you transport it from point A to point B, ang mga pasahero at ang mga cargo, no? Tapos na, no? It should be total experience of the passengers, no? So sa akin, ang transport is really servicing the passengers, no? Moving them from point A to point B with care and see to it that it's safe and comfortable, no?
Secretary,
So it's really a service to me. In fact, even when I was in the airline, no, sinasabi ko we are not in the airline business of transporting people. No? We are here to make the experience of our passengers happy. We want them to make happy. No? So
Sir,
in fact, nung nasa Philippine Airlines ako, I put up a department which reports directly to me. It's called customer experience, no? And that's what I want to do in the transport sector in our country, no? So for them to have the experience that they want, that passengers will be happy when they take the bus, they take the train, no? The airplanes, no? The taxi, the jeep, and all modes of transportation.
Sir, napag-uusapan ng airline. Yung airport po natin, napakatagal ng laging tinutuligsa at nare-rate na worst airport in the world. No? Ano po ba ang plano natin dyan? At pag-usapan na rin po natin yung bagong airport na na-award nga yung kontrata, no? Sa Bulacan. Ano po ang nakikita niyong pwedeng pabilisin dyan, or what kind of improvements do you plan to actually apply toward making the airport a more tourist friendly, and even and that includes domestic tourists, no? Tourist friendly haven, at least for those traveling.
Well, in Manila, we have 4 terminals, no? Terminals 1, 2, 3, and 4. No? Terminal 1 is very old. No? Terminal 2 is being operated by MIAA to serve the requirements of Philippine Airlines, domestic and international. Terminal 3 is domestic and international. No? And Terminal 4 is purely domestic. No? When I was in Philippine Airlines, I proposed to extend Terminal 2, no? Kasi merong area dito sa tabi ng Philippine Village Hotel that we can use to extend Terminal 2, no? Unfortunately, I was not able to implement a program. We have a proposal, but inabutan na ng retirement ko, hindi pa rin namin na-implement, no? But I think we can extend Terminal 2 so that the international operations of PAL can be more comfortable for passengers. No? Kasi ngayon there are only, I think, 4 gates dun sa Terminal 2 for international. No? So if we can add additional gates, no, there will be less congestion. No? On Terminal 1, I was with the MIAA management the other day, no? And I learned that out of the 24 aerobridges, there are only 14 that are operating. No? Sabi ko, bakit nangyayari ito? No? We need to see to it that all the facilities are working. No? Ang sabi nung kausap namin, they are trying to bid the repair of the aerobridge, but yung mga proposals daw, mas mahal pa yung mag-repair kaysa bumili ng bago. Sabi ko, that's unacceptable. No? Sabi ko, we should really look at it. Dapat meron tayong mga maintenance programs for all the facilities of the airport. No? So, I understand the problems of the airports. No? So, I will work closely with whoever will be the new general manager of NAIA, and we'll see to it that all the problems are attended. No? Sayang, napakaganda sana nung facility na. No? It's just a matter of using them and improving some of the facilities. No?
Pero
Secretary,
yung
Paligang-
runway, Sir Deb, well, yeah,
Secretary.
actually, just to push it further, sir, you know that the problem of the airport extends beyond the airport itself, where the waiting lounges are and stuff, no, and the check-in counters. But the runway itself is a problem. Have we resolved that nga, no? Yung wala tayong parallel runways so that flights are not congested, and made to go around and around until they get their turn to land or take off. Is that something that we can fix? within,
Lucy,
Foreseeable
unfortunately, we have two runways that are perpendicular to each other. No? These
Yes.
are not parallel to each other, and as a result of which, we cannot mount more additional flights. No, but as I mentioned, we want to adhere to international standards. No, with the new procedures, navigational procedures, no, I think we can still increase the number of landing and takeoffs in the NAIA airport, no, because yung separation natin between two flights is quite long, no.
Yes.
I think
Right.
the separation is around 7 or 8 minutes, no. Other airlines, other jurisdictions, because
Seconds,
of new
eh.
technology, no? Hindi naman seconds, but easily if we adapt to the technology that are being used, let's say in London, no? Or in the US, we can add a few more flights per minute per hour, no? Kasi lumalabas na we can only have I think more than 25 flights per hour, no? So if we can add 3 or even 10%, no, that's additional 3 flights, no? So I met with the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines the other day, no? And sabi ko, meron tayong bagong mga facilities that was inaugurated in 2017, no? And they told me that, yes, sir, the facilities were finished in 2017, but the design was 2010, no? So, malapit nang kailangan magkakaroon na ng midlife checks itong ganitong mga facilities, no? So, I think I will really work with the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, no, to see to it that the midlife maintenance is implemented. No?
Secretary, pahabol ko lang, balikan ko yung shipping kasi napakarami supply disruptions ngayon. Nagrereklamo yung mga negosyante, yung shipping cost daw ang taas-taas. Of course, because of the fuel price, no? Pero marami din yung sistema daw mismo. And you have said you want to bring down the cost of shipping and travel. Ano po yung mga concrete steps na balak niyong gawin para gawin to, even with the fuel price surge?
Thank you, Ami. Yesterday, I met with the management of the Philippine Ports Authority. No? They presented to me a financial statements showing that they made billions of pesos, no, in revenue and net income. And sabi ko sa kanila, you are a regulator and an operator, no? And your role is not really to just make money financially, no? Sabi ko, I think your role is to help the shipping industry become operationally and financially successful, no? Because if they are operationally and financially successful, no, that means they can offer lower passenger fares and lower cargo fares, no, or rates. No? And sabi ko, pag mas mura ang pamasahe, mas mura ang cargo rates natin, yung movement of people and movement of goods will be more, no? And if that happens, yung growth ng economy natin will be higher, no? Sabi ko, ang role ng PPA is not to make money but to see to it that we contribute to the growth of trade and economy. So sabi ko, siguro bago tayo magtaas ng mga fare, mga rates, mga charges, no? Dapat isipin natin ano ang magiging effect niyan sa operations ng mga ships, no? In fact, I met with some ship owners, no? And they are really complaining that masyadong mataas ang mga charges ng ating mga ports, no? So when President BBM appoints a new general manager, I will see to it that all rates are reviewed very well before these are increased, no?
Okay. Transportation Secretary Jaime Bautista. Sir, maraming salamat po, Secretary.
Thank you,
Thank you.
sir.
Maraming salamat po.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
we will
Thank you.
start up another conversation, but first, another quick break. Please stay right there. Welcome back, the Chiefs here on One News. Ako po si Robbie Alampay. Kasama pa rin po natin Lucy Cruz Valdez of News 5, Ami Pamintuan of the Philippine Star, and we're joined now by economist Winnie Monsod. Ma'am, welcome po to the Chiefs.
Yan. There you go. Hi, ma'am.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Opo, Professor, and yes, welcome po to the Chiefs. And Professor, kasama na rin po natin si Ed Lingao. Dating gawito, college pa lang, ganito na style nito. Malilate, pagkatapos dahil late siya, pwede ba raw siya unang magtanong para kunwari nandito? So ang unang tanong po kay Ed Lingao.
Para present ka agad, di ba?
Econ 101 po, yan ang style niyan.
Para present ka agad. Para siguradong hindi namarkahan na absent. Di ba? Para hindi obvious. Ma'am, well, of course, we're looking at targets that some would call ambitious by the from the economic team of the president. GDP targets of 6.5 to 7.5 range by the end of the year, as well as plans to bring down to single-digit poverty levels by 2028. Are we looking at
2028?
2028. Are we looking at
By the end of the
realistic?
term.
Yeah.
Are we looking at realistic numbers here? Are these reasonably realistic numbers from your perspective?
Well, you know, for example, can you turn it off, please? I'm sorry. That's right. Or, I'm sorry. I'm
That's-
sorry.
that's fine, ma'am. That's fine.
My husband turned it on again.
That's fine. As it is, that's fine, ma'am.
Yeah, he thought that I was being an idiot. All right. We're talking about predictions, right?
Yes, ma'am. Predictions, yes, ma'am.
Si si Diokno, in the same audience, with the same audience as the World Bank predicted that the Philippines would grow by 5.7% this year. When it was Ben Diokno's turn to speak, he said that the Philippines would grow by 7% this year. So the range is between 5.7 and 7%. Now, who tends to be, historically speaking, who tends to be more online with the actual? And personally, I think it's the World Bank. So the World Bank does not expect us to grow by 6% this year, nor does it expect us to grow by 6% next year. So yes, because they've already given in their economic outlook, they've already given their predictions, and that's what they said: 5.7% this year and about 5.6% next year. So you take your, you draw your conclusions from that.
What about the poverty rate? Is it doable
And
to
you're
bring it
talking
down
about-
to single-digit
Single-digit.
levels?
Well,
By-
right now, the poverty rate is about 23.7%. That is, this is the latest poverty rate, which covers the first half of 2021. All right? And it's 23.7%. You compare that with 23.5% in 2015. So it does,
Rose by
and you're
0.2.
expecting to go from 23.7% to 9%? No way, Jose. No way.
Okay.
That's my.
Ma'am,
We've never done it. We've never done that much in that short a period of time.
Okay. Well, from projections, let's look at things that are actually happening right now. The only numbers that are going up, three in particular, are three numbers that we don't want to go up. Inflation is going up, unemployment is going up, peso to the dollar is going up, which is just to say it's weakening as well. What do you, and every time, the president has said these are all, inflation is imported inflation, a lot of external factors. What are things that are within our control in the short term?
Well, what is within our control is to give more employment to the people so that they have money enough to manage the inflation. That's what we can do. But it is true that our inflation is imported. Why? Because the American dollar has risen again, has appreciated. We can't do anything about that. When the American dollar appreciates, that means automatically the Philippine peso depreciates. One is the reciprocal of the other, the exchange rate. And the second thing is that the war, that it's inflation all over the world. In fact, the United States inflation is, last month was, I think, 8.6%. Our inflation this month is 6.1%. Hindi ba? Nataranta nga ang bagong presidente kasi yung sinabi sa kanya inflation rate was 6.1%. Sabi niya, that's wrong. But it wasn't wrong. It was the inflation rate this month, June over June last year. What he was used to hearing about was the year-on-year inflation, year-to-date inflation,
Instead of
which is about 4.4%. But it's all going to rise. Inflation. I'm sorry, that's how it's going to be. Now, if we can manage to increase the supply of our food, local food, that will naturally increase, that will tend to decrease the price. But we can't do that.
Yeah, we have a problem even in food security, di ba? Are you seeing any bright spot?
Security.
Yeah, are you seeing any bright spot at all in the economy? Anything that we can hope for, or are you thinking that things will get worse before they get better within maybe the next month?
It's not his fault. The fact is that we are, this country was left, like a bag, like a spent bag of firecrackers by the Duterte administration. The NEDA itself said that we have an education crisis, we have a health crisis, we have energy crisis. For heaven's sake, aside from the fact that that we will not be able to achieve our 2019 GDP until the end of 2022. So, hirap na hirap tayo. It's not the new president's fault. He has a lot of baggage he has to come in.
Yeah.
He's bringing with him. So and NEDA itself said that if things go well, maybe by the end of this decade or 2029, we will be able to achieve the same slope, the same gradient of our investment rising.
What were the major?
2029?
Yes, that is in the report last September of Chua.
That's more than one term of a president.
That our investment our investment behavior is going to reach what it was before, pre-pandemic, only in 2029.
So you're essentially what they're
and
saying
that's
is
the best.
that's essentially saying this government is going to spend the next 6 years just to get us back to status quo ante.
Damn right. Unless it does something spectacular. Now, it will do something spectacular as I see it, it will do something spectacular if I think the new president puts full confidence in his economic managers and does not try to politicize things.
To that point,
He's doing that right now, huh? All of it. He's mouthing what Ben Diokno is saying. Because you're worried about inflation. You're worried about the exchange rate depreciation. I'm not at all worried. I think that's a good sign. You know why? Oh, go ahead.
A good sign of what?
Yeah. What do you mean by that?
A good sign. Because that is going to make our exports more attractive, and it's going to make our imports less attractive. And that is one of the problems we have coming in. Our trade deficit has increased tremendously. And how are we going to pay for that? We have to increase our exports and decrease our imports. And it is an opportunity for local businessmen to try to substitute for imports.
But isn't growth also slowing down?
Huh?
But isn't that precisely the problem? Growth has slowed down.
No, wait just a minute. Growth has not slowed down. Growth. The first quarter was something like 8%. And that's because
there's enough to keep going. So you're saying there's enough to keep it going, that we can actually achieve the productivity.
No, I did not say that. In fact, one of the things that a depreciated currency will achieve is it will try to substitute for the effects of productivity. We can be more competitive if we are more productive or if our goods are cheaper. We cannot be more productive at the moment. The goods have to be cheaper.
Okay, Professor, let me prompt you a bit more on your insights on however you see a strategy coalescing one of the challenges with President Marcos when he was a candidate was first, he was so inaccessible and the access was so sparse. People really had no idea what the economic plan and program was. Now, he's been president for just a little more than a week. He has finally delivered his inaugural address laying out his vision. He did say also we have to wait. Antayin nyo, July 25, first SONA, we will outline more details. You know his economic team. He has appointed himself Agriculture Secretary. He's identified the crisis. Is there enough to go on now that he's president for you to say, okay, mukhang may namumuong strategy dito, merong economic philosophy dito that I think I can latch on and develop my thoughts around?
Hindi ko pa naririnig yung economic philosophy eh. Kaya kung nakinig siya sa kanyang mga economic managers, may chance tayo. Kung makinig siya. But, I don't know how much politicking is going to how much a role politicking is going to play in this whole thing. If he goes against his economic managers, wala. He's got the best.
Oh.
I want to tell you, he's got the best.
But if you're saying hindi nyo pa nakikita economic philosophy heading into
Wala
July
pa eh.
25, no, but
Paano
heading into
philosophy
July
na?
25, as you said, at the first SONA, and if the promise there is, then you will hear a better strategy, some more details. What would you like to hear and see at the first SONA?
Well, one thing, first, he's going to try to improve the governance of this country, because governance of a country is the foundation on which growth and development takes place. And the governance of our country, by all quantitative estimates, by foreign, by outsiders, for example, the Rule of Law Index by the World Justice Project, the Governance Indicators Index of the World Bank, the Corruption Perception Index, shows that during Duterte's time, those indices have gone down. In other words, we have deteriorated in governance. So if we have deteriorated in governance, we're not going to, growth is not going to be, and development is not going to be as good as expected. What do I mean? Well, there's going to be corruption. There's going to be all kinds of under the table arrangements, which are very antithetical to investments. So that's what we're faced with, and he's got to show that he can, in the first few months, tell the people you are being governed well.
Based on his initial appointments, based on his initial appointments, are you confident that we are headed in that direction? Good
Wala pa siyang
governance?
na-appoint. Wala pa siyang na-appoint.
Meron ng COA, meron ng ano.
The economic team. The economic team is there.
Well,
Not the economic team, but the
appointment of Calida as Solicitor General, as Commissioner on Audit, is not a very encouraging thing. I mean, remember the guy was accused of doodling with his salin or taking advantage of his government positions, etc. And now he's going to be COA, overseeing government contracts, overseeing auditing government expenditures. Naku, what signal does that give you, Lucci? I mean, I'm an economist, but you are all citizens of the Philippines. Does Calida's appointment as commissioner as chairman of the Commission on Audit give you any confidence? No. Oh, well, it doesn't give me confidence either. All right, he has not yet appointed a Department of Agriculture. He wants to take it himself. Can you please tell me, what do you think he will bring? The agriculture.
Yeah. So
He does not know. anything.
Pero ma'am, as far as the economic team is concerned, do you have confidence
Yes.
in the economic team as they are? Assuming, of course, it's a big assumption, assuming that they're left to do what they think is right for the country in terms of policy.
Okay, now we're on the right track. Very definitely. But that's not enough. There's energy to consider. He has not appointed still an energy secretary. He has not appointed an
Health.
Hindi. Yung Environment and
DNR.
Natural Resources.
Yeah.
He
DNR.
has not appointed health. Diyos ko po, anong ginawa niya from the time he knew he won, which was like the May 10, to June 30? Why didn't he get this?
The benefit of the doubt there is maybe he's choosing very, very carefully. Is that, that at least that's what the press secretary has said. He's
And it takes
taking his
60
time
days
to really.
you get a headhunter. You get a headhunter and he'll help you. I don't know I don't know who he's choosing from. But very definitely, he's showing too much of a slowness. And we don't need slow. We need somebody hitting the ground running, especially because of the many, many crises that he has inherited. Diba? I mean, that's what I think. I mean, that's what any logical person would say. If he cannot make a decision up to now on who those people should be,
And certainly, that really sticks out. I mean, every single day when people ask, meron na bang DOH, meron na bang DNR? But the report about the governance and any indicators as to whether or not governance is core to his presidency, the few things we know in the first week, he issued a memorandum that basically took away a lot of superfluous positions that were invented and bloated by the Duterte administration. That veto on the Bulacan Airport City based on fiscal, environmental, governance matters. Do you take things like this as at the very least good indicators, notwithstanding that it's only been a week?
Of course, I think so. I mean, I agree with his vetoing that Bulacan Freeport
Economic zone.
because the Philippine Human Development Report already said that those so many Freeport zones that we have had are unsuccessful and cost the government more than it brings the government, cost the economy more than it brings the economy. So he's doing the right thing. I don't know whether he was advised to do so by the economic managers. If that is so, that means he's following them.
Okay.
Okay. So that's a good sign.
Okay, and we'll just have to watch out for more signs. Until then, we hope to have more of you here dito po sa the Chiefs, Professor Winnie Monsod.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Maraming salamat po.
Thank you.
And that's it for this episode of The Chiefs and for The Chiefs this week. We hope what was discussed here will keep the conversation going. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I'm Robbie Alampay.
I'm Mami Paminton of the Philippine Star.
I'm Lucy Cruz Valdez, News 5.
I'm Ed Lingao, and we are One News.